Alright, what's up YouTube? It is your boy Muaythai Packer, and we are going to be doing a video right now. And this will be about why I think you should start Muay Thai, and the reasons why, um, the 4 reasons why I think that you should start Muay Thai. And the first of those 4 reasons is self-defense. It's so the even though I've been training on for like 2.5 years, like 2 years, stuff like that. I did post like footage and then I like deleted it. With a lot of ups and downs and things I was going through mentally, and so I'll get to that eventually when it comes to confidence. But when you focus on self-defense, the things that I realized, especially being a big fan of Dragon Ball, a show that is about martial arts, a show that that teaches you pretty much for those who, because you got two different types of fans of Dragon Ball. You got those who just watch it just for the fun of it, and you got like the mangas and like the anime and stuff like that. Some people just watch the anime, some people didn't. I didn't even know that they had mangas and stuff like that until I revisited Dragon Ball years later after not watching it for like maybe like 2 years or something like that. And so when I sit up there, and that was from like 2016, and then I got it back into it around like 2018. But when you sit up there and you look at all these things and stuff like that, the things that when you look at self-defense when it comes to Muay Thai is when you focus on the other side of Dragon Ball. When you look at when Master Roshi says focus on the basics, meaning, and when I look at that, when I look at the basics, it is IQ, fight IQ. It is simply fight IQ, and when you look at fight IQ, it can be simply, I would look at somebody break things down to you. So like one great example is heat trick Muay Thai, and you can go and look in some specific videos I will look at is Muay Thai stone stuff, how to be a complete Muay Thai fighter, and it'll show you like Muay Biok and all the various forms of Muay Thai. What styles are in Muay Thai, basically like aggressive and elusive, counter and tricky. Okay, so then when you look at the primary 2 styles, you have aggressive and elusive. So you can have aggressive counters and then aggressive tricky. You can have elusive counters and elusive tricky. And then you'll start to understand all the ranges, and then you'll start to understand the borders and the pockets and stuff like that. So the borders is you got to take a step in to strike, you got to take a step in to elbow, you got to take a step in to knee, you got to take a step in to kick, you got to take a step in to shoot at whatever various forms of takedowns or submissions that you're trying to do. The pockets is when you're already there. You don't have to step to take a punch. You can just punch. You don't got to take a step to elbow. You can just elbow. You can just do the various whatever strike or whatever takedown you want to do or submission. You're already right there. You don't have to take any steps in a sense. And so then you should focus on footwork, because footwork wins fights. A lot of times we in fights may be like, oh I keep focusing on this position and all this stuff. If you go in, like, one thing I noticed about MMA is, especially even though somebody could be a grappler and they may strike for a little bit, it's always the focus on the takedowns. And you'll sit up there and start to notice on the fence, square stance, basically meaning that square stance is that your lead foot is pointed towards their private area, their crotch. And then when you step around, you take it down to another level. Then you start to look at on the tracks, and on the tracks can be basically 2 people, your front foot and your back foot of your opponent just lined with the hips, kind of like Muay Thai style. So Muay Thai fighters are mainly be on the tracks. MMA fighters are mainly be on the fence because they're just focused on the lead, on the 2 lead foots, sitting up there facing each other, which at that point you can sit up there and the first one to really adjust to kind of move side to side or kind of try to move back and stuff like that, you can usually catch them. You can usually catch them with the strike. And And then, like I said, the way that Tapori, I believe, got Max Holloway was you sit up there and you look at all these things as far as, um, you know, when his lead foot got to the middle of like Max Holloway's like private area, and then he went over and then hit him so hard that it knocked the mouth guard out. It was because usually you can sit up there and you can kick, you can do the elbows and knees and the takedowns, but he chose to go for the punch, bringing his body in, and then going over. And then the most important part is you don't drop your hands. So then Muay fighters or kickboxers, if you're on the tracks and your front foot and your back foot, you and your opponent's feet are aligned, you do not want to bend at the hips or don't bend at the waist, and don't like bend your head over too much, because that's how I got caught a lot of times when I was temporary training in the gym before some financial issues happened at the moment, until I can get back in soon. And then the next step is going to be confidence. What you'll start to notice when you start to stretch every day, you start to routinely learn martial arts, you start to learn self-defense, you start to have a certain level of confidence. And that confidence just doesn't come from, learning something new. It comes from learning something, from doing the same thing routinely every day until you master those things, and then you're able to sit up there and move on to more things. Because if you start to let's say if I didn't practice the basics when I went into that gym, because I'm somewhat decent. Like if I was to judge myself on the scale like 1 to 10. I could put myself at about a 4.5. And the reason why I say 4.5 is because I know that I have a lot of room for improvement. And I know that if I was to go and fight somebody right now in the gym and stuff like that, I may not win, but I would look like I would belong. But then on top of that, like I said, the strongest thing that I have is my fight IQ from what I do have, and it's not much, but it's from what I do have and from what I do understand. I believe that I can make it work for me. So that confidence in you doing the same thing every day is going to excel that confidence, because now you already know what your strengths are innately by what comes natural to you, and what comes natural to you, and from what sits up there, and you learn every day. You learn. It's like Bruce Lee said, I don't fear the man that learns 10,000 different kicks. I fear the man that learns the same kick 10,000 times. Or maybe didn't say fear, but he looks at the man that does those same kicks. And so, you have to look at these things. But the one thing that I'll have to recognize to others from what I almost fell into, if you used to use Dragon Ball for an example, and the reason I say if you used to use a Dragon Ball, because if you use Goku Black as an example and a Zamasu got so confident in his power, and Goku and Zamasu is basically, they're polar opposites, because Zamasu was supposed to have Goku's nature, and Goku was supposed to have Zamasu's nature as far as how they acted, and you saw how that turned out as far as the goals and stuff like that. And so what I'm saying is, when I bring up the Zamasu and Goku Black as opposed to Goku, you cannot be like Zamasu, basically saying that you can't get reckless. Don't let your small successes of what you learned privately and that you learned and built good, because you don't know what the other person knows in the gym. As far as the coaches and stuff. That's why I'm a big fan of, if I learn something from somebody, I'm going to learn the polar opposite on how I can beat that style, in case if I get in trouble with that particular person. Even though I may lose, I hope to walk away alive. And so that's what confidence would do for you. Just don't get reckless when it comes to you getting those small level of wins. So I'll see content creators on Instagram, and I'll be wanting to follow their page until I start seeing this I beat up the local hometown champions and the local this and this and this. Dude, you're not even in the UFC at one championship. And you talking, and you're still trying to you're actively in the early stages of your career as a pro. Calm your horses. You're not even at where you want to be at. I can see if you were being delusional by saying that you'll be a champion. That's all the story. You have to be delusional in this sport, or just in this life. And then, like I said, so I don't have to explain the not quick to fight, because like I said, when it features in the recklessness. And so if you kind of go from when Goku first met the Grand Priest in the Goku Black arc, and when we had to tell Goku, because he noticed that Goku was starting to get really edgy and wanted to fight the Grand Priest. He was gonna call the Grand Priest out to a fight. The Grand Priest would have accepted the fight, and he would have understood that Goku did not call him out to with like any mean or nasty intentions. But Whis was telling him was, be careful who you tend to call out, because these are higher deities, these are higher beings. I take it easy on you, but he's gonna take it easy on you too. But you're gonna recognize the drastic difference in power. And so, just in case you end up facing somebody, you gotta believe in your own power. And even when you're in doubt, do not give up and do not think differently. But what you should do is you should sit up there, and you should want to sit up there and prove to the world that you are the best and that you are capable of being the best. Don't just if you can walk away, like if you're walking with your girl and somebody call you try to holler at your girl, and then you look at them like nah she's good, and then you're like, oh well, fuck you then, bitch, and then you turn around. Just keep it pushing. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Whether you win or whether you can lose, it's not worth it. Just walk away. And so, then the brother and sisterhood that you form in the gym. When you sit up there and you go to a martial arts gym, you start to understand the brotherhood that you have with your partners, the brotherhood and sisterhood that you have with your partners. You know, you may not come in happy every day. You may find yourself getting there early just to kind of blow off some steam or just to clear your mind before you everybody starts to come in. And let's say you just talking to that one person just walks in, and whether they're one of the leaders or just somebody that is just a regular student just like yourself, you may find yourself forming a bond with that person where, you and certain people in the gym may start hanging out outside. You may go and get drinks. You may go to a festival. You may go to a football game or to some event, and you're gonna want start to form relationships. Whether it comes off a bad day or just y'all just find yourself talking about something. You'd be like, oh, well, do you want to go? Do you want to go? And then y'all start to form this brotherhood and sisterhood that you have in the gym. So this will be in this video. I do want to share I would like for you all to like, share, and subscribe to this video. Like I said, go ahead and we're here to build a Muay Thai channel. I would like for Muay Thai to be bigger within Western society, and I would like for Judah or Hebrews, Black Americans in America, to step here and learn how to defend themselves as well. So thank you all for tuning into this video, and you all have a great day.